Code 3. That's all I that's all I can remember from the call. Code 3. We were already on our way towards our office to turn in our vehicles, and you had the actual option of leaving your weapon there with the armor. And right after this one, I'm gonna do a follow-up video on my gun control. So basically, you can turn in your actual ammunition, you can turn in your actual weapon, and anything else that you did not want to actually risk losing or misplacing, you could always leave there. Even that included your personal weapons. So I prefer to store my long arm, my rifles and stuff with the armor there. I knew it was going to be in good hands. I knew I had access to them at any time. So I would prefer to actually just to life happens. You know, what I mean, life happens, and your house is not burglar proof because just because you have a badge. You know what I mean? And neither is your vehicle break-in proof just because you have a badge. You know, it's common sense. You know. But I'll get into into a video on that entirely on a different zone. So basically, me and my partner, we're already had a not actually we could not actually sign off. We cannot actually uh, tell our sector that we were done. We were out of commission for the day because we still had to travel. Like I said, sometime between almost 2 hours to get to our destination. So uh, we were on our way back, and we heard a code 3 at a checkpoint that we were about maybe ooh, I'm gonna say about 8 to 10 minutes away. And it's very rare when you hear a checkpoint call out a code 3 for the fact that there are plenty of actual bodies. There are plenty of agents around, of vehicles around, and for them to actually acknowledge a code 3 would very, very suspect. So, uh, you don't want to actually also interfere on the channel before the fact that that officer needs to have that channel clear along with sector, along with the media backup, right? So I get on the radio and I give out our unit number and our two actual our call numbers, our call signs, to let sector know that we were readily available and we were on our way, and give a quick uh, duration of the time, and I gave them about 4 minutes. Figure we were about half the time, and my driver was a good my partner was a good driver, so he floored it. We're in a if you could just imagine in a Bronco that the back is actually gutted out, replaced with a cage that you could actually walk in through the back. There's actually steps to walk. They actually would they nicknamed them ice cream trucks, but it had none. Just the way that the name was given. But anyways, you can actually step into the actual back cage area physically. You didn't have to actually jump up or actually hop up. You could actually just steps were actually assigned. So we're headed out there. Not the fastest vehicle, but it was actually a very very good workhorse, especially around the terrain that we were assigned to at sometimes. So now we're we're headed there pretty fast, and as we were coming in, we would actually dip under. It was a 2-tier highway, So we would actually we dipped in from the top, uh, giving the actual officers, we were lit up, of course, giving the actual officers an actual left flank. No, they would be on their right flank. So we gave them support on the right flank, but not to actually cross their actual to avoid. We wouldn't actually be in their area to uh, actually give them a condition to cross fire. We actually just dipped in and we flanked them, and we left the actual truck about midway on the actual on the. It wasn't a steep hill, but it was actually on a hill, and we had enough to actually support them uh, visually. So our lights were actually on the actual vehicle in question, and at that time I actually dismounted. So did my partner. We only had one long arm, so I actually took the long arm, and I set myself behind some brush, not for cover, just for uh, to reduce my silhouette, because that brush had none was no cover whatsoever. You know what I mean? And my partner, he stayed close to the vehicle's driver's side, uh, giving them support in that way. We were not in any way trying to uh, take over their uh, their situation, and we did not exactly acknowledge what was going on. We were there, like I said, we were there. We didn't know if this actual vehicle, which turned out to be a like a small size box truck with a three bucket seat in front. And when I say three bucket seat, some cargo trucks are designed for to transport three passengers, depending on the kind of work that actual cargo is going to be. He could be setting up tables, chairs, plumber, whatever. But it did have the actual three bucket option on front. And as they were conducting the actual uh, this what they thought would be a felony stop, each individual was actually armed, but it was not concealed. It was actually on the open. So at that time, you still run the investigation, but you already kind of tend to figure that they actually have permits. They have concealed weapon carrying permits, and so you kind of just your level kind of drops down. You know, no criminal's going to be actually holstering an actual firearm out in the open like that. You know, and they wasn't concealed in any way, and it was three individual males. And as they were actually escorted out the actual vehicle, uh, they presented documents of actual their concealed weapons, and everything was fine at that point. But still, you still want to keep an eye on these actual individuals. Criminals can also carry concealed weapons. They could be falsified. They could be, not until everything's checked out. You still want to keep these individuals controlled. You don't want to have them wander off to the front of the actual vehicle, to the side, to break out for a smoke. You will not allow that. So as soon as they were actually secured to the side, and at no way were they ever disarmed. The actual the field operations officer that conducted that actual checkpoint, I give him props. He conducted himself and his actual team in a very professional manner towards these actual individuals. So as they open up the back, there is a 50 caliber on a mount, but on a pallet. And they also had a pallet jack, so I'll give them that. They also had a pallet jack, and the box truck actually had a ramp so that they could actually just they could offload that actual 50 caliber uh, off the truck. It was actually in the only thing that they needed to do was actually uh, screw in the barrel of this 50 caliber. And there was plenty of there was two types of ammunition on the actual truck. One was for the actual the infrared, the reds, uh, the actual bullets, the ones that light up, whatever they're called. Yeah, that, and then they had the regular. Uh, Also, they, I know this because I've used them before. Uh, they also had a certain type of a like a war game type of adapters for these 50 cals that actually can be used almost like laser type of gadgets that uh, you can actually fire up on blanks. You can fire up blanks on these actual other vehicles, and they'll start ringing. It's like almost like what are they called? Paintball games, but these are just doing through lasers. I don't want to say the name of the actual company because they're still around, and yep, that's what it was. That's what the Cold Three was. We weren't sure what it was till we actually got there. We were just there as a backup actual entity for them, and we weren't there that long, but yeah, we got to check it out, and yeah, they had a 50 caliber in the back of that truck. They had the right paperwork. They were actually tracked by Highway Patrol. Uh, they have their ways. Even back then, they had their ways of tracking their actual these type of actual transportations throughout the state, and they were actually going to cross over into different states. So to conduct not training, but to conduct not I guess experiments, but uh, to test out their actual equipment with different types of distance ranges. I can say ranges like different distances. Uh, See if the actual lasers reach the actual destinations and so forth. So they needed the actual live ammo to give it that kick to actually to activate that type of laser, and it's it's a trip because I actually met the actual owner of this actual research company, this actual technology company. I actually met him on the private side. I actually set him up with a couple of home medical devices, and he was a real nice gentleman, but he was very active in his company. He was already in his 90s, so he was very active in his company, and he was uh, how do you say it? He was a no jokes kind of guy. He was straight business, and I appreciated his business too on that side. But yeah, these guys had a 50 caliber ammunition, and they were all armed, but they had the right permits, and they got cleared by Highway Patrol, and they went on their way. But yeah, that's how it went down, and they had everything that they needed to go, and they but the only thing is that and this was by the Department of Transportation and the High Patrol. That was their decisions to not actually have markers on that actual truck as explosives, just for the fact that nobody can second guess what's in there. You know what I'm saying? And get some, you just never know. Give somebody some ideas. They didn't, and the duration that they were actually driving, uh, it was a few hours. So you can plan something in that actual duration through the desert, and that was their decision not to actually mark that actual vehicle with explosives on the actual the side panels of the box truck, and that's about it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks a lot, guys.